How'd Vandy do in baseball yesterday, Jim?
Vandy last night, all they did was go in and beat the number one team in the country.
That's right.
13-4, not even close.
ESPN's Buster Olney, one of the most famous Vandy grads out there. He's with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What a win for your Commodores there, Buster.
A big win. I can't tell you that I'm focusing on it because living here in Montana, I'm not kidding. As we speak, we've had 4 inches of snow, and it is dumping. We might get another 2 or 3 inches in the next 4 or 5 hours.
Buster, here in Alabama, it's May already, almost June. What is it in Montana? What month are you guys in?
I know, exactly.
I mean, how are you getting snow, Buster? It's almost Memorial
We're getting
Day.
Killed.
Oh.
I can't underscore. It is dumping snow here like crazy.
Hey, so Buster, when you go for a walk around there, do you carry bear spray?
No, but it's interesting. When you go to fly out of the Bozeman airport, they don't ask you if you're carrying weapons or a bomb. They say, do you have any bear spray in your backpack? Because it is a thing.
Yeah,
okay.
That is the
now. Another thing they do too is I've got 2 dogs. You take your dogs out in the woods. You put bells on them, okay, to warn the bear. And I remember the first time I went for a walk out here, and I asked a friend. I'm like, hey, with the dog with the bell, and is that to warn the bear? And they said, no, pretty much the way people have dogs here is that's the first line of defense.
Yes, got to sacrifice something.
It's unseasonably cool here right now too. It's only in the 80s, so it's
wow.
usually in the 90s for these SEC baseball tournament games going on. Hey, we watched the Orioles grow from a really bad team on the field, and they built this slowly, and the young talent came along, and they had the breakout year last year. Yesterday, the streak that they were doing where they had not been swept in the series since 2022 ended with the Cardinals sweeping them. How big of a streak was that for the Orioles to not ever get swept for that length of time? Is that unheard of? Is that a lengthy amount of time to not be swept?
Oh, it's huge. And I can't remember before the Orioles streak what the record was, but it coincides with the promotion of Adley Rutschman. Adley Rutschman was brought to the big leagues, and basically they weren't swept. And then I think it was the week before I was watching an Oriole game. They were behind in the late innings in Camden Yards, and they tied the score and they won the game, and the crowd went crazy. Like everyone in Baltimore was aware of this streak and what a big deal it was. And I do think it spoke a lot to the consistency of the team. And yeah, they tanked for 5 years, and their general manager, Mike Elias, has picked the right players. They have a dynamic group. I think right now in baseball, there are 5 elite teams that have separated themselves from all the others. You got the Phillies, you got the Braves, you got the Dodgers, you got the Yankees, and the Orioles. And we'll see how aggressive they are in making trades before the deadline with their new ownership.
Buster, the Braves dominate in Wrigley yesterday, and we brought this up. It is amazing. Max Fried just absolutely loves to pitch against the Cubs, and after winning last night, retired his first 15 batters. He's 6-0 with a 1.18 ERA and 6 starts against the Cubs. Don't you find it interesting in this game of numbers, and Max Fried's a really good pitcher, how one guy can dominate one club like that?
Oh, yeah, and how it becomes a mental thing, right? Where Max Fried, I'm sure at this point, is taking the mound against the Cubs and feeling like this is my day. I'm gonna dominate this lineup. I do think it's a good matchup for him because when you look at the Cubs, they've got some of their best guys are left-handed hitters like Cody Bellinger, and it's interesting because Wrigley Field, with its dimensions, as you guys know, is a bandbox. But if you get to pitch in Wrigley Field on most days, and the wind is blowing in off of Lake Michigan, it is distinctly a pitcher's park because anything hit in the air, to right field especially, gets knocked down. 2 days ago was the opposite, where the wind was just flying out of there. The outfielders were having all kinds of problems with any balls hitting the air. But on most days now, Wrigley Field is a great pitcher's park. Max Fried loves it there.
How can you be 10 games above 500, yet 6 games out of first place in your division right now like the Braves are? That seems to be crazy. The Phillies are that good right now, huh?
The Phillies are extraordinary. Now, we have to put in the caveat, which is that after playing the Braves in that early season series, they have not had another series against a team over 500. Think about that.
Oh, wow.
Last Sunday, when we had the Padres and the Braves, I was talking with Matt Olson, the Braves first baseman. He just looked at me and goes, we face so many aces. Like the Braves feel like they've run into these number ones all over the place. And the Phillies, on the other hand, are playing the dregs of baseball. They have been to this point. At some point, they're going to start playing really great teams, and we'll see how good they are. But I also think that reflects to some degree the issues with the Braves offense, to me, are becoming real, right? Where Matt Olson's turned it back on, and I think he's going to be fine. Austin Riley, he still, needs to bounce back from the injury that he suffered, the oblique injury. And when I talked to him the other day, he felt like he was really making progress. So he probably will be in the swing of things. For me, Ronald Acuna Jr., there's a real concern. And I have covered so many players who had a phenomenal season one year, and last year he's National League MVP, and then the following year they struggle, I think in part because, and I related this to Brian Snitker, the Braves manager, the other day, and as I started to say this, he began to nod his head. Like, players want to replicate the success they had the previous year, and when they don't get off to a good start, it weighs on them. And it feels like when you watch Ronald Acuna Jr. right now, his concentration level is really wavering. Eduardo Perez, who does the games for us on Sunday night, also wonders if Eric Young, who's kind of like the Acuna whisperer on the past coaching staffs, now he's going on to the Angels, not having him around. Eduardo wonders if that's having an impact on Acuna.
The Phillies at 36-14, best 50-game start since 2001 with the Seattle Mariners. I go back to that team that won a major league record 116 games, and they didn't even get out of the divisional round. I know they ran into the Yankees, but when you talk to Mariners fan, we've got a good friend of ours, Brock Heward, who does Fox College Football, and he lives and dies by the Mariners, and that is like one of their darkest moments. What do you remember most about that 116-win Mariners team that couldn't get out of the first round of the postseason?
Yeah, so what I remember was, and in fact, that was 2001, if I remember correctly, right? Where they won 116 games. Well, when they got into the playoffs that year, I was covering the Yankees for the New York Times. The Yankees team had so much energy. This is right after 9/11. And the fan base after 9/11, for the first time ever, maybe the only time ever, everybody was rooting for the Yankees. And there was so much energy within that group of players who had had success. And then late in the year, they got really hot. And they had everybody backing them. And I remember they lost that series, the Mariners did, in 5 games, the Yankees in the postseason. And the Yankee Stadium crowd, who, obviously so many of them knew people from 9/11, they started chanting, goodbye to the Mariners. And Lou Piniella is standing, the manager of the Mariners is standing in the Seattle dugout, and he's nodding his head saying, these people deserve that.
Wow.
Like, there was an emotional momentum at that time against the Mariners that I don't think anybody, could have seen coming, and you can understand how it impacted the players.
ESPN's Buster Olney with us each week at this time on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. They'll have Cubs Cardinals Sunday night in St. Louis. You'll see Buster there. We will reach Memorial Day with Houston below 500 and behind in their division. You don't often find them there at Memorial Day. Do you have faith that post-Memorial Day this will be a different Astros team?
Yes, I do. They're playing better. They have seemingly been better since they got Justin Verlander back off the injured list. Kyle Tucker's developing into an MVP candidate. Alex Bregman has bounced back. And I do think there's going to be a day when the Mariners and the Texas Rangers are going to regret not burying the Astros in the first 2 months like they had a chance.
Yeah.
And remember, Houston's played in the American League Championship Series 7 straight seasons. So there is a championship pedigree there, and I think they will pick themselves up.
So, Buster, I'm in this this group draft where we all get 4 major league teams, and it's a snake draft. And late in that draft, I got the Guardians. And, I know the AL Central is a weird division. I didn't expect Cleveland to be this good. I know Kansas City's sitting there. They've won 6 straight. Cleveland's won 6 straight. Why are the Guardians through 50 games so good right now?
Because they upgraded their offense, right? Last year, and my numbers are going to be a little bit off, but I think they hit 30 fewer home runs than any other team. And look, they're not a dynamic slugging team, but it's a better offense. And in 2024, when you see so much swing and miss, The Guardians lineup, they put the ball in play. Jose Ramirez is the king of the 13 pitch at bat that ends with a home run. Stephen Kwan, when he's healthy, he's dynamic. The Naylor brothers, up and down that lineup, I think there's much more depth in the past. They always pitch well, but they're a good team. I would say this. When we talk about the 5 elite teams in baseball and then who else is going to be relevant beyond that, the Kansas City Royals are really interesting. Most of the preseason projections have them 71 to 74 wins. Guys, they're on a pace to win 100 games.
Wow.
And they've got 2 core stars, anchor stars, in Bobby Witt Jr., who right now is probably among the 3 best players in baseball, and Cole Reagan's a lefty who I know conversations with Jim Palmer, the broadcaster with the Orioles, reminds him of Ron Guidry. Like, he's got a nasty slider, and he's going to be in the Cy Young conversation, I think, at the end of the year.
What was Guidry's nickname? Louisiana something? Or I forget what
Louisiana
it was.
Lightning.
Louisiana Lightning. That's right, for Guidry. Before you go, Buster, Babe Ruth's 1932 game-worn Call the Shot jerseys going up for auction. They're expecting it to go for $30 million. Have you put your bid in?
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. Wow, $30 million. It's interesting. When David Wells was on the Yankees, he bought a Babe Ruth cap, and he wore it in the first inning pitching. And when word got to Joe Torre, the Yankees manager, he was so angry. He immediately ordered him to take it off. David Cohn told me recently that he bought that cap for something like $30,000, and now he recently sold it for like $600,000.
Wow.
Like, the memorabilia business is just skyrocketing. That would be a pretty cool jersey to have. And you guys have seen that grainy video of him sort of waving his hand at the pitcher, Charlie Root. We'll always wonder if, in fact, he did call his shot.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, didn't George Costanza wear it in Seinfeld? Was that the jersey?
So.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Cardinals and Cubs coming up Sunday night in St. Louis. Looks like a cool park. I've never been to the new Busch Stadium. I don't know how new it is anymore.
I've been there.
around.
Yeah.
Have you? You like
nice.
it?
Yeah,
I remember you took the family. Yeah.
It was either July 3rd or 4th. It was fireworks afterwards.
Okay.
It was really good.
Pretty
I
good spot to watch a game, Buster. You like that one?
Yes, and the arch, beyond center field, you can see that, and like a lot of the other modern day parks, I mean, the best example of this is in Atlanta or on Truist. They've got the Battery and all those shops and stores. That's the way it is around Busch Stadium. It's a fun game to cover, that's for sure.
You will see that Sunday night on ESPN. Thank you so much for the time, Buster. Have a great trip.
All right, guys. Always fun.
All right, buddy. Talk to you next week. Buster with us each week, courtesy of the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. ESPN's Buster Olney.